Assalamu alaikum and welcome to my new studio. It's not quite a studio yet. This is my new study. Alhamdulillah. It's nice to be recording from here. I need to get a new you see it there. I need to get light shade. There's still you can see there's boxes everywhere, right? So it's still getting in place, but alhamdulillah, it's a nice quiet place. I've got the gardens just there. But I'm separate from my family. Um, Separate from the family now. Nice quiet place. But listen, let's get straight into it. So, alhamdulillah, I just returned from AdCon 2025, and look, I know most of you aren't entrepreneurs, right? Most of you are professionals. Some of you are, starting a business or have something on the side. Most of you are already working, have a great job, but you have dreams of setting up something on the side. You have dreams of getting to a stage where you can have freedom lifestyle, charge more, earn passive income, and maybe set up a business, right? And so this video is for those of you who have that dream. And look, many of you, many of those who've worked with me, and many of those who will work with me, inshallah, many of those who are, sitting on the fence, um, are are worried about getting started, right? Or are just being too slow in chasing this dream. So hopefully, I'm going to attack three myths, three big myths, which were kind of actually explored in AdCon. So I'll try to give you examples from some of these great speakers as well, right? Hopefully, it's going to be great value. I'm wearing my acquisition.com hat. That's Alex Hormozy limited edition cap when he did his big, huge YouTube release of his book. And I've got my AdCon t-shirt on, so I'm all prepped to kind of give some business advice. Okay, so you ready? Let's go. This is myth number one. Okay, and oh, by the way, I'm going to be drawing from this is it was amazing their marketing. They branded everything and gave really good quality stuff. So if you're interested about AdCon and you think you'd like to come with me next, I had a couple of clients who came with me this time. If you'd like to come with me, meet me in person and go to AdCon 2026, yeah, just reply to this wherever you're watching on YouTube or an email me or DM me on LinkedIn or Facebook, wherever you're watching this. And yeah, maybe next year we'll go together. So yeah, look, I've got over 50 pages of notes, 30 major points. I'm just kind of summing up three of these, right, to help you with um, this idea. Okay, so the first myth, which is holding many of you back, which is that you need to quit your 9 to 5 in order to start your business, right? That's absolutely not true. Yeah, it's absolutely not true. I myself, right, started my first tutoring business when I was a full-time teacher. And how did I start? I just started tutoring on the side. I've got a client now. Many of you saw his case study. If you've not, look back in the emails or reply to message me and ask me for the case study, and I'll send it to you. Brother Abdul Qadir Khalid, one of my long-term clients, he's full-time as an IT desk support specialist and a manager, and I've helped him set up his business in IT support, and he's earning 2K a month now. And he started. He's still got his full-time job, and he's caring for two very special autistic children. Very demanding family life. He's found time as well, right? And just had to adjust the blinds because May in England is getting so sunny. And to give you an example from the event, someone called Christine Mirel, right? She was Mexican immigrant, lived in New Mexico in the States. She was very poor, right? So poor that she was eating spam every day, right? She didn't even have Wi-Fi. Okay, and despite her challenging circumstances, she was able to, get started. And she was a, single mom. And all she had was, I think she put it like she just had a toilet, a phone, and that's it, right? And she created hilarious ads, right, which went viral. And she created a company called Laugh My Ads Off. A very inspiring story. You can look her up. Look, Laugh My Ads Off, Christine Morel. Anyway, so the point is, you do not need to quit your job. And I've seen, in my time, I've been on so many business programs. Every single year, I'm on a different business program, and I've seen countless entrepreneurs who started when they were working full time. Just like my journey started full time. As the business started growing, I myself went from full time to part time. In terms of years, it even took like a few years. Um, and I'd transition to part time. And then when the business grew and it got to a point where I thought, oh wow, I could do this full time. I transitioned to full time, and most of this time the income was it was not huge. It was just gradually building up so it could replace my employed income, and then. And this comes to the next thing. Then it comes to the big idea, right? Now this transitions nicely into the second biggest myth, right? And the second biggest myth is that you need that perfect idea. You need that perfect product. You need that perfect service before you start, right? What was that? There's that Tom Cruise film. I can't remember the name of it. Someone listening to this, watching this, if you remember that film, just please remind me, right? There's a film where he was in the back of a taxi, and the taxi driver had this amazing dream, this vision of a kind of limo service, and he just kept putting it off, kept putting it off, and he was waiting until he could get the money and get the idea. And you could tell he'd been procrastinating on this. And it was really clear in the film that this guy, the reason why he's not created that dream is he keeps putting it off, right? And Tom Cruise in the back was kind of like, trying to inspire him to get started, right? Um, and I've seen this so many times, right? I would say um, maybe 50% of my clients have been procrastinating on some dream. Alhamdulillah, I've managed to help them with my coaching to get over the line and actually get started. And that's the secret. It's about getting started, right? And there's so many beautiful examples of instead of chasing perfectionism, right? You don't need to wait, right? And to give you an example, right? Though I think the most inspiring one. Timu Armu was the best, one of the most inspiring examples. So Timo is known as, he started his business when he was just 21, and he built it for an eight-figure exit at the age of 26, right? Insane. And what he actually said, right? He said the ROI, right? The return on investment of putting yourself out there, and you have to do that in any business, right? You're gonna have to put yourself out there. Not necessarily on social media, it might be just your idea, your service. You're gonna have to advertise it, right? Many people are scared of that. But here's the thing, this is what all entrepreneurs they have to have this appetite for risk, right? And when we say risk, the downside is that okay, you put yourself out there and you might not succeed. But what Timo would say, and I've got this, look, I've got this highlighted and I've got this, let me just put that blur off. You can see, yeah, I've got it highlighted. It says the ROI of putting yourself out there, you can't fathom it, right? It's insane. Yeah. And he would say that because on one hand, right, yes, you're gonna put yourself out there, put yourself out there. Now, if you don't do it, yeah, you save a bit of embarrassment, you stay safe, right? So this is a lot of this is about getting out of your comfort zone. That's what entrepreneurship is about, right? But that ROI is that you don't know what idea is going to hit out there, right? And the ROI on you doing that, right? For me, look at my own business, right? When my first business was tutoring, right? One-to-one tutoring. Then I transitioned into online tutoring. Then I transitioned into kind of doing online courses, right? And online academies. And then, I had no idea 5 years ago, sorry, 7 years ago, even 6 years ago, that I was, even a month before I found my big idea, right, which is what my service now, my Vista Time Mastery Program. A month before that, I had no idea I was going to be a world-class coach, right? I didn't even know I was going to be a good coach. I didn't know that I was going to be a well-paid coach. I had no idea, right? But it was because, and this leads into this kind of, what Steve Bartlett said, right? So Steve Bartlett, let me find my page reference. Yeah, here we are, page 38. This is amazing, right? Steve Bartlett, he believes in this so much, yeah. Um, he talks about that, and many of my clients, right, even to this day, and many people who I've worked with, especially those of you in finance, you know who you are, right? Too many of you, oh my God, you overthink things and you're too cautious, right? And some people will take 9 months to make the decision versus others will take one day, right? 9 months versus one day. And some of you know that. And I take calls every single week when I speak to people, right? And by the way, and I'm just saying this honestly to help you. Sometimes the way to unlock you is to have a call with me, right? And this is where I've spoken to many of you, where it's like you've been sitting on an idea for months, years, and you've not made any progress on it. And here's the thing about business is that you don't your first idea might not hit it. Your second idea might not hit it. Your third day, fourth, right? Typically, it's someone's fourth. In my case, it was my fourth or fifth big idea, right? And I had no idea, and I was just kind of chugging along, and suddenly the big idea, it 3x'd my income, I think, right? 3x it. Yeah. And that's something achievable. That's something which any entrepreneur can do. You can. So number one, I was able to replace my actual income, my professional income as a teacher. That didn't take long at all. That just took a few years. But going from that to something which is like a six-figure business, that happened in 1 month. And that's the beauty of business. It can happen all of a sudden. But you have to keep experimenting until you get to that point. And this is why Stephen Bartlett, he actually has a failure experimentation team, and their whole job is to experiment on different ideas. This has a precedent in two huge companies, the two biggest in the planet, Google and Amazon, right? Google have a type of failure experimentation, and they call it something else, but they have a team which their job is just to try new ideas. And one of their ideas, which made them a huge amount of money, and they didn't know it was going to, was Google Maps. That started out as just like an innovation by some techie, and it wasn't seen as such a big deal. Amazon, right? Amazon, which, as you know, they keep innovating. Starts off with just books. Can you remember? Anyone remember that? It was just books, but then they keep adding and innovating and adding stuff, right? Now, one of the most profitable things right now is something which was come it came up with one of the experimentation teams. It was like, well, why don't we try? Someone said, well, why don't we try to do some kind of cloud service, right? We have our servers, our giant servers, which we use to kind of host all our stores and everything. What if we rent that out? So companies can rent our servers. I don't understand the technology, right? But the way I understand it is like, like we use Google Docs or we use OneDrive, and that's like a cloud base where we can save our files. So big companies need huge, they need servers for their stores and this and stuff. So they call that AWS, Amazon Web Service. And that idea is one of their biggest profit drivers right now. Okay, so you can see experimentation. So there's two ways you can go about it, and this is what I say to my clients and to my people who speak to me. I say, look, you got two choices. You got your dream, and you can kind of fail, right? Fail like experiment over years, or you can fail fast. You can fail slow, or you can fail fast. What would you rather do? And that's why, by the way, coaching is so useful because that helps you to fail fast. It gives you the push, the accountability to get there. And that leads me to the final point, right? The final myth. Yeah. And this final myth is that you can do it all alone, right? You can just figure it all out by yourself. You can solve all your business problems just by yourself, right? And honestly, you could, but you're likely to stay very small, right? And some of the most inspiring examples were people who you would never think could set up a big business, right? And yet they did. And it was through the power of mentorship and coaching, etc. Right. So the example, which was my favorite, was this retired police officer. Let's see, we've got his name. This was right at the beginning, page 11, 12. Right. So this guy, and when you were to look at him, we know like, Bobby's on the beat. He literally, he still, he looks like a typical police, a bit of a burly guy. He's called Brendan, and he created something called Blue Light Police Recruitment. Now he started off, teaching what he knew, and he would just teach these kind of £69 online course, right? And it can be very challenging selling online courses on scale, right? And what he would do a lot of one-to-one, and he ended up just burning out and making a reasonable income, but not much, right? And he went on this journey where he went from that to a big seven-figure business with over 17 team members. He travels around the world, making great money. He's got 4.9 out of 4.9 rating on Trustpilot, over 700 reviews. and he's doing incredibly well, right? It took him a few years, but his journey was through his coaching and mentorship, right? He found a program, he found a coach who could help him in his position, and because and here's a really interesting one of the speakers, I can't remember who, I just remember this from memory. They said that basically what you're paying for when you hire a coach is 10,000 hours, right? Because when you work with an expert, you are reducing, you are compressing 10,000 hours of knowledge, right? To those gems which you need right now in your journey. Right, and that's what an expert is. An expert is someone who's had put 10,000 hours in the topic which you're not an expert in. And so, yeah, you can try and experiment and just go through that yourself, or you can learn from those who've been through it before you. And so that's that was a big takeaway for me as well. And I actually hired another coach myself, right? For my business, which I needed, which is and hopefully you'll see that in my content, in my posts and my offer soon. So yeah, look, if after this, you'd be interested in speaking to me, and you've got a dream idea, you've got a dream vision, which you've been procrastinating on. I've helped countless clients actualize their dreams and go from something which is a dream and they've been procrastinating on to finally making something about it, making something of it, and it actually coming into reality and getting momentum. Just drop me an email, drop me a DM, and we can have a chat to see if it's worth getting on a free call to discuss your circumstances. No pressure, nothing. But I hope you enjoyed this. Please reply with your favorite takeaways from this video. And I hope and pray that I've inspired you to pursue your dreams, to get started, and to take some risks, right? Because that's what it takes to be a great entrepreneur. You've got to have a bit of courage, and you've got to realize. And I'll finish with what Timo said, like about fear. He said, like, what about when you do some of the social media stuff, people are gonna hate you, people are gonna disagree with you, you might get some nasty comments. And you know what he said? He's not even Muslim, right? Got a very Muslim character. I went to him, I got a photo of him, and I actually said to him, I said, are you Muslim? He's from Ghana. I said, no. I said, you got some Muslim character there, right? Hopefully that'll get something, get his thought process going. But one thing he said, well, the way I look at it, he says, we're all going to die. Really simple. I'm going to die. That hater's going to die. He's thinking about me just for 1, 2 minutes and he said that hateful comment. He's going to die. I'm going to die. So why I'm going to let that affect what I'm doing? All right. Brilliant mindset, right? And the other thing he said, and this is a concept of shook, and I'll finish on this. The times we live in, right? The fact, like, imagine 50 years ago, 100 years ago, right? Even 20, 30 years ago, you say that, look, you can have this little device. And in this device, right, you can video call your friends. You can take a video of yourself and you can promote yourself with a few clicks of the button, and you can broadcast this and make an advert to hundreds and thousands of people, right? And you can operate your whole business on this, right? It's insane. And now with AI, that's not something I've spoken about today. I can speak about in another video. But now with what's happening with AI, the opportunities right now are insane. We live in incredible times. And the thing is, if you don't take advantage now, and this is my last message to you, you're going to get left behind. You're going to get left behind. And they're saying in 2 years, everything's going to shift. And within 2 years, AI is going to take over a lot of jobs. Businesses are just going to skyrocket, right? The knowledge industry, right? Maybe, right now it's a great opportunity to get into the knowledge industry, to become a coach, to become a content creator, to become a course creator, to become a consultant. It's a great time to do that now. Yeah. Right. Imagine, think about it. Just think about it 5 years ago, 10 years ago, when you didn't have Zoom, right? And you had to just have face-to-face clients. Some of the coaches I meet with, they still do face-to-face clients and old school networking, right? Like, how hard is that compared to? I've never had to coach anyone in person in my whole coaching career, the last 5 years. Everything's online. I don't think twice about it, right? And that's made possible. I have clients from all around the world, and it's because of the laptop, because of technology. So these blessings we have, it's an insane opportunity, and we would be insane to neglect that, right? So if you're procrastinating on a dream right now, and you're procrastinating on a way, you've got a service you could provide, you've got a business you could build, right? And the only thing stopping you, procrastination, fear, mindset, right? Then look, get on a call with me, book a call, reply to this email, start a conversation, and above all, follow that dream, trust in Allah, and like you don't have to quit your job, but you do have to get started. And subhanallah, you never know what can occur, especially if you do it with the right intentions for the sake of Allah, and with the intention of providing for your family, for the intention of being able to provide something of great service to humanity. Then mashallah, there's no limits. Okay, jazakallah khairan for listening, and I will see you soon, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.